Hey, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Inside the Picks. And what a group I have here. I always like first time groups because I can gauge what they're all about, and we got a good one tonight, man. We have Eric Katz from baseball going over to football. We have Candy Ebling. Well, she's a regular part of the crew. And with one of my all time favorites, Jennifer Matthews Lewis from Chicks and Salsa. Let me see that pretty face in there. It's a little narrow as you move a little closer like that. Thank you very much, Jen.
You're welcome.
You look so adorable that I've never
Thank
been
you.
called a doctor before because I wasn't smart enough to get there. But if they're referring to my handwriting, then maybe my doctor came a lot sooner than I thought it did because Tom Shanahan is certainly being one of those people that don't like my hand. Nobody likes it. Really? Seriously? Really? It's okay. I'm used to it. That's why I type. And we have Mel Farr Jr., who's going to be running for a lot of yards today like he does on every show. Great group tonight. Looking forward to seeing how it all plays out. Well, let's get down to it. And we're going to go to Sam Darnold. He's the first starting quarterback in NFL history to win a Super Bowl after playing for 5+ teams. Actually, Darnold married Katie Hoofnagel on April 3rd, 2026 in Rancho Santa Fe, California. So now he's got himself a significant other. And you know what? He's making history for all the right reasons. Winning the Super Bowl after 5 teams. Jen, you followed him in Charlotte. What are your thoughts about Sam the man?
Well, not only that, but he is also the first quarterback from Stanford to win a Super Bowl.
Okay.
He didn't go to Stanford.
You went to
USC.
No, that's right. USC. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I get it confused. But he was the first quarterback from USC to lead a team to win a Super Bowl.
Great stuff. Okay. Yeah. I mean, Sam Darnold,
And
you know what?
Sam deserved it. I mean, that man had been put through the ringer, and his first 2 teams, mine included, were quarterback purgatory. I'll say it. Under that coach, it was quarterback purgatory. Like, truly it was. I'm happy for Sam.
Yeah, I'm glad they got married. I looked at the pictures of his new bride. She looks like a nice woman, and more power to him. All right, Eric, what are your thoughts about Sam the man?
I'm happy for him. It's amazing what happens when you leave the New York Jets and go to another team. You somehow just rediscover the ability to play quarterback, unlike anybody not named Joe Namath that's been affiliated with the Jets. It's great for him. He's probably he has had one heck of a career. He's gone from being in the dumps of the NFL to being almost borderline almost out of the league, to going to the Niners, where he learns from a great offensive mind in Kyle Shanahan, goes to the Vikings and tears it up there. Minnesota says thanks, but no thanks, and he goes to Seattle and wins himself a Super Bowl. I mean, I can't think of another story that's truly better than that.
Great stuff, Eric. Look at this guy. He's on fire early. This is what you get from Catsy. All right, Mel.
Well, Sam's obviously had a pretty good year, winning the Super Bowl and then finding the love of his life and getting married. He's had a pretty good year. Now, I can admit when I'm wrong. I was never really high on Sam Darnold coming out of that other school in Los Angeles, especially when he said, on the foot, he was telling people on the sidelines that he thought he was seeing ghosts out there in the field. So that didn't help him in New York, obviously. But, one thing I've always said, kids need reps. He was young when he came out. He was young when he came into the league. He got thrust into the starting position. Didn't really have a great offensive coach over there with the Jets. They didn't really develop him there. He got an opportunity to get developed when he went to San Francisco and got to sit down for a little bit and to be really coached and have an opportunity to develop. Then he got some playing time and played very well when he was in Minnesota, and that paid off, huge dividends for Seattle. These guys need reps. You can't give up on these guys so soon. It's so important that they get reps. And now, if you're the New York Jets, you have to be looking at your player development. You have to be looking at your head coach and your coaching staff and your general manager who was there, and you have to look at your player development department and see where you're going wrong. Sometimes these guys don't come into the league a finished product, but if you give them the opportunity to grow and to develop, and you have some patience with them, you never know what can happen. And for Sam, fortunately, things have turned around for him in his career. It definitely looked like things weren't going to go well for him, but he's stuck with it, and he was able to turn it around. Like I said, this year's been a great year for him.
Tommy?
Yeah, I never really thought about it. For some reason, it popped into my head tonight. It makes me think of Earl Morrall. Earl Morrall was a great Michigan State quarterback, led him to the Rose Bowl against UCLA, beat UCLA. And then he just kind of bounced around in the NFL, didn't really do anything special. And then all of a sudden later in his career, most guys like that means they hit their ceiling.
Right.
But later in his career, Johnny Unitas got hurt. He stepped in and replaced Unitas. The Colts went 13-1, went to the Super Bowl, lost to the Jets and Joe Namath, but still it was a great season. And then he had that year where he was backing up. It was at Miami, and he was backing up Bob Greasy. Greasy got hurt, and Morrow was undefeated. Led him back to the Super Bowl before Greasy took over. So kind of an interesting story that two guys were great college quarterbacks, so in the pros,
Right.
but found a way later in their career to take advantage of an opportunity. They didn't stop learning, didn't stop growing.
Well, you bring him up, I might as well throw Jim Plunkett in the equation as well, because he started off with the New England Patriots, didn't go so well over there, and all of a sudden wins Super Bowls with the Raiders. So great point, Tommy. Katie?
Yeah, Darnold was selected by the Jets in the first round with the 3rd overall selection. He played his first regular season game September 10th, 2018, during Monday Night Football against your Detroit Lions. At 21 years,
Matt Patricia.
At 21 years, 97 days old, Darnold became the youngest opening day starting quarterback since the 70 AFL-NFL merger. His first pass resulted in an interception returned for a touchdown by Quandre Diggs. What a way to start your NFL career. And then to go all the way now into being a Super Bowl champion. That just shows never give up and keep pursuing your dreams. Because obviously, he was not a starter for how many of those teams that he's played for. He was a backup. And then, he had to earn his reps. Like Mel said, they need reps. And most teams throw these guys in right away, especially if they're drafted early. And it's too much. They need more reps, and you're so quick to pull the trigger and bring them up, take them out, and But these guys need reps in the NFL game. The NFL game is different than the college game.
Okay, let's go from one Sam to another Sam. Glad to have Eddie Prather in the chat room. Every time he comes on the show, we definitely get some pretty good stuff, and obviously Eddie's living up to his true form. But actually, in Oklahoma, there was no need for an ID because former Oklahoma quarterback Sam Bradford did not need credentials to attend the Sooners Pro Day for one reason. He has a statue. My goodness, life is tough when you got a statue and you can get in. Jennifer, what are your thoughts about Sam Bradford getting in?
I mean, that's awesome. Sam had a solid career. Honestly, so he started in the NFL back in the 2010s. So my memory of him isn't as sharp as some of the older quarterbacks and some of the newer quarterbacks. I'm sorry, because he was playing when Cam was playing. So I have no quarterback crush. Sorry. But I remember playing against him and he was really impressive. And good for him. Like, he had a great career at Oklahoma as a college quarterback. And, I don't remember that much about his career. I'm sorry.
Well,
But I do remember he was impressive.
Yeah, he's made a lot of money too off those signing bonuses.
Yeah, he has.
Stafford. Oh my God, both of those guys make some money. You know enough about him to talk about him. You're doing good. The guy gets a statue. Doesn't need a credential.
I know. I mean, it's pretty young for him to get a statue, but good for him.
I didn't think much of it. They did it. Okay, great stuff. All right, Eric.
Well, Sam Bradford, I think, is the greatest quarterback to ever play at the University of Oklahoma. He won a Heisman there. Yes, he got hurt there, but I still consider him, out of every QB that Bob Stoops ever had during his time at the University of Oklahoma, including the year that he won the national championship in 2000, which you Miami fans will debate.
Mm-hmm.
We'll debate with you all day on whether they should be there, whether they should have been there or not. I personally thought they should have, but I'd say he is. I'd put him above Jason White. I mean, he won a Heisman. Yes, in the NFL, it didn't. I mean, he had the year where he won rookie. He won. I think NFL. I think it was NFC Offensive Rookie of the Year. But then the rest of the time, he was hurt for most of it, which happens. You're playing a violent game here, and it didn't help that the St. Louis Rams, the team that drafted him, left him to die out on the field because they didn't build around him. But that was the dysfunction of the St. Louis Rams at the time. But University of Oklahoma, absolute legend. He had a lot of success there, and why not honor him with a statue? Because he is the greatest quarterback of all time at the University of Oklahoma.
Well,
I would disagree with that strongly.
Really?
What is he got a statue in Oklahoma? That's what we're talking about at the Sports Hall of Fame or something.
Yeah, he got in. Yeah, he got in pro day without credentials because of his statue.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I would strongly disagree with Eric's statement there about him being the greatest quarterback in the history of Oklahoma.
Who would
he
you have?
got before his time, but Jamel Holloway was a wizard, and he won the national championship as a freshman. Hey, great for Sam, man. Sam, he stole a lot of money while he was in the league. He was the last guy pre-rookie scale, before they came out with that rookie pay scale. He was the last one to get paid. I think his contract is about $86 million at that particular time. That was a lot of money for a quarterback. More power to him. I don't have anything against the guy personally, just never particularly cared for him as a player. Didn't do much in the league with the opportunities he had and the type of money that he was earning. Good for him.
I'll tell you.
Well, go ahead, Eric.
I'm going to rebuttal that. Sam Bradford is the greatest thrower of the football. Jamel Holloway played in the wishbone offense under Barry Switzer. He was not a great thrower of the football. He was practically an
quarterback. You said quarterback. So you didn't say greatest thrower of the football. You said the greatest quarterback in Oklahoma history. I disagreed.
24-7 as a starter. Had a Heisman Trophy winner. 50 TDs in a season.
However, you're also forgetting Baker and Kyler.
They were transfers.
None of those guys can.
Jamal I'm not saying they can with Jamal, but just so you know.
No, I can't go back way back. When the other guy was coaching, but from when I can remember is Jamel Holloway.
I'll tell you.
And he got in. He got in thanks to Troy. And the only reason he started was because Troy Aikman got hurt.
That is correct. And then he transferred to UCLA. That is correct.
Yes,
he became my quarterback. But that is correct.
Eric, you're making your immediate impact pretty good, and you're looking good doing it. This is what I have in my system. I'm proud of this kid. He's like my son.
Yeah, Aikman got hurt, but we also should add that Switzer decided he wanted to go back to the wishbone offense, and he called Terry Donahue to UCLA and said, "Hey, this guy would be a good fit for you. He's not really a fit for us anymore because he wants to go back to the wishbone." So
Terry
got hurt. Troy got hurt running the wishbone.
Yes, he did.
Yeah,
but Jerome Brown hit him.
Okay. Well, Candy have the last word because the whippersnapper's living up to his reputation. I'll never forget.
Well, actually, I didn't get a chance to comment.
Go ahead. All right, go ahead. I want
Actually,
you to. I didn't know if you said everything, but go ahead.
Well, at Oklahoma, they have what's called Heisman Park. So it's not whether there was some kind of great decision made to honor him with a statue. All of 7 Heisman Trophy winners have a statue. So that's the reason for it.
Okay.
So,
Great.
but
that's fair.
he was a great college quarterback, and he won the Heisman. So I don't see anything wrong with it.
Great stuff.
Especially if the school is going to do that.
Okay. Sorry about that, Tommy. I'm glad
And
you
he
got
played
that
when teams were still. He also played when teams were still relatively where running the ball was still relatively important than throwing of the ball, and he still threw 50 touchdown passes in a season to just 8 picks.
Well, I love the banter back and forth with y'all. This is really fun. I guarantee I ain't gonna lose my voice tonight. Candy, you want to close out the topic because I got some more lightning rods here. Go ahead.
You know, knowing that Bradford went first pick in the 2010 draft tells you what they thought of, part of what they thought of him in Oklahoma. You know, and then to play, I mean, he was drafted by the Rams. In high school, he played football, basketball, and golf. As a senior quarterback in 2005, he threw for 2,029 yards, 17 touchdowns in 12 games. He was highly recruited out of high school, and then he received a scholarship offer from Oklahoma, which he accepted. After a redshirt season in 2006, Bradford threw for 3,121 yards and 36 touchdowns as a redshirt freshman. In 2008, Bradford became only the second sophomore to win the Heisman Trophy, as he led the highest scoring offense in NCAA to a history, passing for 4,720 yards with 50 touchdowns. So he also led the nation in passing and also added 5 rushing touchdowns as well. So he had a really good college career, obviously.
Okay, let's stay on the quarterback theme since we started it. Chargers quarterback Trey Lance actually won the QB2 job last year with the LA Chargers. Lance, 25, wasn't guaranteed a roster spot when he signed a 1-year deal worth up to $6.2 million, but he impressed enough to win the backup spot over Taylor Heineke. So the question is, what happens in year 2? Well, do you think, John, that Trey Lance is going to be able to have a breakout year and ultimately earn a starting job?
I mean, he came out with a lot of hoopla out of college in the draft.
Right.
We will see. Like we've seen with Sam Darnold and several other quarterbacks, it depends on the coaching. And I'll say Steve Wilkes had a part to do with Sam Darnold's coaching.
Mm-hmm.
So I think as long as you get the right quarterback whisperer, anything can happen. Like look at Dave Canales and Bryce Young. Look at I always mispronounce his name, Stanifowski, the head coach of the Eagles, with Jalen Hurts. I mean, it is what it is. You have a coach you connect with who can coach to you. Look at Caleb Williams and Coach Ben Johnson. Who would have seen that turnaround 2 years ago?
Right.
Nobody. But Coach Johnson figured out Caleb was dyslexic and he learned to coach to that. Mm-hmm. That's a coach. So you get the coach that coaches to you and you can turn your career around.
Makes a lot of sense. Okay, Eric.
I mean, what's happening there. Sorry, what was the question?
So we're talking about Trey Lance.
Oh, never mind. Yeah, that's who I had a little brain cramp there.
Okay.
Trey Lance. I don't know. He's kind of bounced around the league. He was supposed to be the next guy with San Francisco, but Kyle Shanahan was kind of, having a hard time letting Jimmy Garoppolo go at the time. So Trey Lance has never really had a chance anywhere he's gone. The Cowboys traded for him, made a weird trade for him when, even though they had just signed Dak Prescott to that contract. But I don't really know. To be truthful, I think I'm not sure if he will because he hasn't really played. So, he's just been a guy that was overhyped in my opinion coming out of FCS and really hasn't gotten that chance just because he hasn't played the competition that a lot of other teams have.
I really hope he learns a few things under Jim Harbaugh now.
Yeah, here's a guy. Is a typical of what we've been talking about. The guy played about 12 games in college, something like that. Very limited snaps in college. COVID took place during that period of time. I can't remember if it was injuries or something like that, or that may have limited his play. But he did not play very much college football, so he doesn't have much. He doesn't have much game prep underneath his belt. What I saw of him last year when he was in San Diego during the preseason, he looked very good. When he was with the Cowboys and he got an opportunity to play at the end of the year, a couple of years ago, he didn't look very good. But you can see that with the coaching that he received in San Diego, in LA with the Chargers, that he looked a lot better when he played out there in the preseason. And Coach Harbaugh was really very supportive of him. I think if he does get an opportunity now, obviously, if something were to happen to their quarterback there, then they have a good viable option, somebody who was a number one draft choice. San Francisco gave up a whole lot to move up to draft a kid, so we know that the kid has some talent, but he's a guy that needs to get some snaps, and the more snaps he gets, the better off he's going to be. Now, he may get an opportunity later on in his career. He's not going to get it there in LA because Herbert's a guy there. He's going to have to get that opportunity somewhere else, much like Malik Willis is getting an opportunity down there in Miami right now. And I think he's probably a better prospect and probably a better quarterback than Malik Willis. But he'll get his opportunity. He just needs to continue to get better. Fortunately, quarterbacks are able to play a lot longer now. They're able to play into their mid to late 40s, maybe in the early 50s. So he has time to continue to develop. And hopefully he'll get an opportunity because I think that he is turning out to be a very talented player. He's shown some things during preseason that make you think that he has an opportunity to be the number one guy on some team.
Yeah, Justin Herbert's a heck of a coach. Obviously, we all know that Trey Lance has mobility. Tommy?
Hey, I was just checking. He turns 26 years old next month, so he's still a young guy. He definitely has a lot of talent. He faced the challenge of going from the FCS to the NFL, a faster game. He hasn't seemed to have been able to make that adjustment. 49ers must have seen something in him, but then Brock Purdy came along and they didn't need him anymore. But hey, we just gave two examples: Sam Darnold, and I brought up Earl Morrow, and then there's Jim Plunkett. So if he can hang around and learn, it may not be too soon to give up on him.
Yeah, I think
like I say, he doesn't turn 26 until next month.
Right. Yeah, he still has some upside. Candy?
He started his career. He was redshirted at North Dakota State for the 2018 season. He was later named the starter in 2019 and led them to the 2020 NC2A Division I football championship game, and he was named MVP of the game. He came through COVID. That didn't help his career there. Do you know who the team he played against in his first NFL game? Any guesses, Scott?
Yeah, I think go ahead, Candy.
So he began the 2021 season as the second string starter behind Jimmy Garoppolo, who made his NFL debut in Week 1 against the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say it. That's why I didn't respond.
2 weeks later, he actually played against the Packers again. He needs playing reps because he's, again, one of these, also needs right coach. We've seen, let's face it, when the first year that Trevor Lawrence came out and he played with Urban Meyer, did we think he was going to last in this league? But then he got a new coach, and now he's firing on more cylinders and getting the reps. Now, Trey hasn't gotten the reps that some of these other quarterbacks have. On the right team with the right coach, I can see him doing doing better, but we'll see if he gets that opportunity and seizes that opportunity.
Yes. See, we lived the back end of that Jacksonville Jaguar situation with Urban Meyer and Daryl Bevel. I thought was going to have an opportunity to get that head job, and he settled things down a little. He just never got the opportunity. But I definitely can appreciate where you're coming from. Well, here you want to talk about hurricane season coming up? I'll give you something that was pretty interesting here as well. Former Tulane coach John Summerall last year said he asked to wear the white jerseys against Northwestern, which Tulane wore in his first game after Hurricane Katrina in 2005, but was denied. Tulane went on to beat Northwestern 23-3. And here's what Summerall had to say: when you disrespect the city of New Orleans, you're gonna run into it. I'm not trying to be a jerk, but don't disrespect New Orleans. That was a big statement there. I think Northwestern was wrong. They should have allowed them to wear those white jerseys. And when you bring up Hurricane Katrina, if you've ever been in New Orleans and you've ever driven through that mess, that was ugly. Jen?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that Northwestern should have let them wear the white jerseys.
I'll agree with you on that. Like, what's the big deal there? Like, really? You just trying to be big? But I will say this. New Orleans benefited a lot from Katrina. Just like Charleston benefited a lot from Hurricane Hugo. But I will say, having been at NFL games where we were playing the Saints, they definitely got professional calls in their favor as a result of what the city was going through. And that doesn't mean my heart did not break for the people of New Orleans. 100% it did. But there was also like a lot of guilt, so to speak, if that's the right word. And the immediate after effects. I remember when we were playing them, the stadium at then Ericsson Stadium, now Bank of America Stadium, naming rights and all. Everybody started chanting Hurricane Hugo up in the 500 section, just because the calls are so egregious. So I'm just gonna say, people opted to stay. It sucks you lost your house. I hate you lost your life. You weren't gonna win that war against that storm. Y'all knew.
And that was a wicked storm for sure.
It really was. Truly, it was.
I drove through some of the bad areas that got hit, and I actually went to the New Orleans Bowl when FAU took on Memphis. Luckily, I had the address of the media hotel, but I drove through that. They were charging a lot of money for those tours. I ain't doing that business. I drove it. It was just ugly watching it myself. But it was, but they were charging for the tours of the areas got wrecked. It was. You're right. You know, they can profit off it, but considering the way they got hammered, Jen, it was just awful. It really was.
Oh, it was. It was absolutely horrible.
Yeah.
And I do hold the local government accountable.
Right.
I mean, New Orleans is a great city. I love visiting there. There's no way in the world I would live there.
I wouldn't either. No,
I have a friend who literally quit his job 4 times because he kept getting sent to audit the city of New Orleans.
Really? Wow.
Quit his job because he had already audited the city of New Orleans 3 times. And every time he found it within the first 10 minutes of sitting down looking at the books, he found corruption.
Oh, yeah.
Well, see, Candy, you got off easy. All you had to do was take pictures and go a lot of the other places. If you went down that Hurricane Katrina area, you would have been an experience for you. I'll go back to you afterwards. I just wanted to mention that. All right, Eric. You think they should have let them wear the white jerseys?
I'll tell you what, though. I've been to New Orleans, obviously post Katrina, though, but there are still many parts of that city that have not recovered from Katrina. There is still building damage on buildings in downtown New Orleans that have not been repaired. Like there is still water damage on those buildings. They have, Katrina is still very much present in that city. But I'll tell you what, though, the Saints obviously played a huge role in healing that city from from that disaster. And I heard stories of people actually spending all that they had just on Saints season tickets. I kid you not. But yeah, I thought, for the white jerseys, it was not that big of a deal. A matter of fact, I thought Northwestern was wrong for doing that. But I mean, let's be honest, you just gave them more incentive to beat your brains out on the field more than there already is. You already gave them bulletin board material, which is something I don't think Northwestern even thought of, knowing the issues that have gone on in that school. But that's another story for another day. But you just come on. Just for a game, you wear the white jersey. It's not that big of a deal. They had something so horrendous and so horrific that I think it's okay just for a game to let them do what they want. But Northwestern made a mistake there. As a matter of fact, they made even more of they were defeated before the game even began for not letting them wear the white jerseys, and it gave them even more motivation. Tulane even more motivation to beat their brains out in the field more than there already was.
3-3. And by the way, Drew Brees had a bit to do with the recovery too, as he donated a lot of his money as well. All right, Mel, did you already comment on this one yet?
No, and I think it's much to do about nothing. It's August. Right. It's late August in the Bayou country. The Cowboys used to always wear their white uniforms at home for a reason, because they felt that the other team wearing the darker jersey, they would be hotter, they would be warmer in the summertime. I think they were smart. I mean, the protocol is you're the home team, you wear your colored jersey. The away team wears the light colored jersey or your white colored jersey. They had no obligation to acquiesce to Tulane and what it is that they wanted as far as wearing a different colored jersey. They wanted to wear their white jerseys. They had every right to wear their white jerseys. Exactly. The fact that they didn't allow them to do it had nothing to do with the outcome of the game. They probably would have lost no matter. They just went shirts and skins. It wouldn't have mattered. They just made a big deal out of something that was not really a big deal. Obviously they were the better team. They needed some bulletin board material. They needed something to get excited about. Maybe that did get them excited. Maybe the coach used that as a motivational tool. But really, that's not a big deal. I mean, that's how it is. It's how it's always been. When you're the home team, you wear your colored jersey. The away team's going to wear the light colored jersey.
Tommy?
Yeah, that's a strange story. Who would think that the visiting team gets to pick the jersey color? Because I don't know. I guess I'm accustomed with the NFL. Like Mel said, the Cowboys always wore white at home. Yeah. For the longest time, the Chargers always wore white at home too, when they were in San Diego. In fact, sometimes teams, when they played the Cowboys, they would want to make them wear their blue uniforms since they were so used to wearing white, so successful. And the NFL team would wear their white jersey at home just to make. I think the Eagles did that one time, just to make the Cowboys wear blue. But that is surprising, and I don't know what to make of it. I gotta wonder if Summerall exploited it a little bit, though. I mean, why did he wait until after the game? It was a season opener. Why didn't he say we want to honor the 20th anniversary uniforms? And he didn't say anything until after the game. It's a strange story all the way around.
Well, strange. And, the only reason I brought it up in the show is knowing as much as I know about Hurricane Katrina. We had a little bit in South Florida, but then as that storm began to pick up, New Orleans was on the wrong end of it. And, of course, driving through that area when it happened, it just put things into perspective. You're at the hotel and they're offering excursions just to go on. It was just unbelievable. And concerning the damage, even Eric said there's a lot more damage still haven't been recovered. All right, Candy, go ahead.
The ninth ward of that city has not recovered.
No, exactly. Point taken. Candy?
So Tulane's request was made on August 17th after Northwestern had already planned the jerseys and decals for the team in preparation for the travel. One of the things Summerall did, he was in his second year at Tulane. He showed his players videos of Storm and the aftermath. He said, I wanted them to have a real appreciation of what this place has been through. Tulane went through a lot. The 2005 Tulane team played all 12 games on the road, with their home games being played at 6 different stadiums. Tulane then held Northwestern to 237 total yards and forced 5 turnovers in the win. They won 23. They ended up winning the game 23-3. So they got their revenge.
Okay. Tell you what, let's talk about Carson Beck, 28 years old. And he actually was in his 5th year of eligibility after spending 4 years at Georgia, and he's older than 3 NFL quarterbacks. Well, obviously, Carson Beck, older than 3 NFL quarterbacks, and he ended up playing, 5, 6 years somewhere. But you know what? I had a chance to talk to James Brockermeyer, and so did Candy. So why don't you go out there and put what Brockermeyer had to say. So first of all, before I go to the tape, what are your thoughts about Carson Beck, Eric, being older than 3 NFL quarterbacks?
That's incredible, though. I know, obviously, he's, right now we got the COVID redshirt thing going right now. So that's why you're seeing a lot of players staying in school a lot longer. And then we also, he's been hurt quite a bit too. So he's got the medical redshirt thing going for him as well. So you factor all that in. That's additional. I think he was also redshirted. He might have been redshirted too. But that's a lot of additional eligibility right there, where he's had chance after chance after chance to prove himself. And good for him for taking advantage of it, though. But I think it's going to be hard for him to go to the NFL, though. I mean, they've already tried it. We've already seen it try and fail with old age quarterbacks like Brandon Weeden, for example, when he went to the Browns. But that's just how the Browns operate. I mean, let's be honest, they're no different than the Jets. It's been tough on him, but good for him for being able to put up a productive year at Miami. But yeah, he's just been through a lot. He's obviously, the COVID redshirt thing kind of changed stuff. He was also redshirt the first year. He's been hurt a lot, so he's got the medical redshirt thing going for him. So he has all those years of he also has all those years of eligibility.
Jen?
I mean, you can't hate who the kid's been sat behind. I know we're going to talk about him in a little bit, but Stetson Bennett. Yep. Who else was he sitting behind? I know he played at Georgia. At one point there were 4 quarterbacks there.
Right.
Yeah. And all great quarterbacks. And now he's in Miami. He had his best completion year with Miami, so good for him. He also had his second best year at Miami with his yards passing. So his best year for that was Georgia in 2023. But his rushing yards were the best last year too. I mean, Miami's a school for him, so good for him. And yeah, he was redshirted in 2020. He's had that time to grow as a college quarterback, and hopefully he'll have time when he goes into the pros to sit behind a college or an actual NFL pro and learn the NFL game.
No.
Sorry if I said that wrong.
Oh, you're great, Jen. You've been great. It's great to have you back on. I always enjoy having you on every chance we get, and we're glad you were able to come on tonight, Jen. You're the best. My younger sister, by the way. I love Jen. She's big time.
I love you too, Scott.
All right, Mel, what do you think about Mr. Beck?
Not much. I mean, I've said that before. Nothing against him personally. Just don't like necessarily his game. He's got a lot of, if you look at him, he's, played in 55 games, got 43 starts. That's a lot of experience underneath his belt, playing big time football in the SEC and also playing in the ACC last year. Kids are staying in college longer. I mean, he got granted a 6-year of eligibility that gave him the opportunity to go down there to Miami and just play football and not go to school, as he alluded to in an interview last year. But if he was a really good prospect, he would have left college and he would have been drafted highly, because we know one thing that the NFL is starving for is they're starving for quarterback play. There's teams that are starving, dying on the vine because they need competent quarterback play. And if he was good enough, he would have left and went to the NFL. But he's good enough of a prospect. He's good enough of a player where he can lead a team and possibly get you a national championship. he stayed in college and he made a ton of money last year at the University of Miami. I forgot how much money they gave him, but they gave him a ton of money to come down there to the University of Miami. So he would have been a fool to turn that down based on what his draft status would have been after he left from the University of Georgia, and he had that shoulder injury that did not allow him to finish the season there. So you said, how much was it, Tom? You said
$4 million.
$4 million. I thought it was more than that, but whatever the case, that's a lot of money. He had 2 Lamborghini trucks, and had the hottest girl on the basketball team. So I mean, it worked out well for him. I'm not upset with him one bit. Good for him, but that's why he's so old, because he started his college career in 2020, and here it is getting ready to be 2026. And he's just coming out for the draft. Like I said, when I played, guys were trying to get out of college. These guys are trying to stay in college and petitioning for more time in college. There's some guy that just got granted a 9th year. I forgot what school he was going to, but no, these guys don't want to leave because the money's too good.
Okay. All right, Tommy, continue.
Yeah, this is what I remember about Carson Beck. He fell into $4 million because he was injured. His career might have been over. He falls into $4 million. He lives out the wonderful experience of playing in a college football national championship game. And then he can't shake hands after the game because he lost. That's what I'll remember about him.
Okay. Andy?
He's originally from Jacksonville, Florida. In high school, in his junior year, he threw for 3,546 yards, 30 touchdowns. The one thing that I didn't know is that as a senior, he recorded 1,843 yards, 20 touchdowns on 136 completions. As a sophomore, he committed to play baseball at Florida before deciding to focus on football and committing to Alabama for the sport. Beck would ultimately decommit from Alabama and commit to playing college football at the University of Georgia. I did not realize that he was going to play baseball at Florida before football at Alabama, and then to decommit from Alabama and go to Georgia. I mean, he's played in 3 national championship games, won 2 of was part of the national championships as a backup in 2021 and 22, and then obviously losing in this one. He's had a good college career. He's had some success, but I think he's also been on good teams where he's had good offensive line play, and that really matters for a quarterback. So if you have a good offensive line where you have good receivers, good running backs. When Scott, I know when we get to some of the tape, one of the things I talked about with Brockemeyer is about Malachi Toney and the running backs room at Miami, that Carson Beck got to be part of that and have that as part of his entourage. So he's played on good teams that have had good surrounding cast that has helped elevate his career as well.
Well, that's when we get around to it. We're going to get around to it now. We have some sound from James Brockemeyer. You'll be hearing his name in the NFL draft. Don't know when, but he's a center. So if you're looking for a good center who's a senior that played in the Senior Bowl, Candy's about to go ahead and play a sound for both, not only my question, but hers as well. Take it away, Can.
Okay, we're going to start. We're going to share the screen.
You talking about Malachi Toney, because what did he mean to the team and what did he bring to the team?
Yeah, he meant everything to us this year. He's awesome. I mean, just got here in January. We had no idea what to expect out of him, and got on the field in spring ball, and he was making plays everywhere. Obviously, he's probably our biggest playmaker this season, and what he did in the run game also this year was awesome, whether that was at wildcat quarterback or going to crack the force defender at receiver. I mean, he's just a really unselfish player. He was willing to do whatever it took for the team this year, and he's gonna. I mean, his future is so bright; it's ridiculous. And the fact that he has 2 more years of college football is crazy. I think he could play in the NFL right now.
And what did you think about the running back room? I know that most of everybody's going to be back. Fletcher's going to be back, and all them. Speak about what you look forward to watching them next year.
Yeah, all those guys are studs, really good athletes, really good football players, run really hard. So yeah, they're going to have a lot of success next year running the football, and obviously we were able to get it going there at the end, running the football, and large part of that was due to our awesome running backs, and Fletcher and Marty, and obviously Pringle did some really good stuff for us this year too, and also Jordan Lyle is a freak athlete, has done a lot of good stuff at Miami also. So yeah, all 4 of those guys can go, and they're going to do a lot of good stuff.
Okay, so now what we do is we go to the part where I get involved, and go ahead, Candy.
Ask you another question I forgot to ask you last night. Obviously, you see the benefit of these all-star games. Do you think somebody like Carson Beck could benefit by being in here? Although, obviously, it's his pro day, and I don't know if he's invited in the combine, but these all-star games could definitely benefit somebody to get in front of do the interview process a little bit quicker.
Yeah, I think everyone's got their own unique situations. I mean, Carson's a guy who has played, I don't know, probably over 50 college football games against really good teams, whether that's the SEC at Georgia or all the good teams that played this year. So I think Carson has proved that he can play football at a high level. And I'm not sure he needs to be here, but I mean, yeah, there's probably some things that he could prove by being here. But at the end of the day, he's played a ton of football, and he's going to get off his meetings with teams at some point. And they'll learn all they need to know about Carson. I love playing with Carson. He's a phenomenal competitor. I view him as a great friend of mine, and he's got a really bright future.
Yeah.
Okay, so there you have it. Jennifer, what's your takeaway from Candy's question and mine as well? We're going to go around the horn with this, and we'll continue. Jen, I think you have another 15 minutes. Is that correct or so?
Not that long, sorry.
Well,
maybe
okay.
Another 5 to 7.
All right, well, yeah, that's okay. No problem.
Okay,
So
sorry. I still gotta get up at like 6 o'clock in the morning.
No problem.
Very diplomatic in answers. He likes him as an individual. I thought your questions were great. Candy, I really loved your running back room question. I thought it was very diplomatically answered, especially when he said to you, Scott, well, sure, he could prove some things by being here, but he has had all these years in college football to prove. Right. That was a very telling statement.
That's actually my point, Jen. Great stuff.
Yeah.
Your last topic will be, by the way, before you go, is on Aaron Rodgers. So I got to make sure you get that one.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to do that in college football real quick, too, on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, we'll do that. Okay. Those are the 2 that you'll be in on. Okay. Go ahead, Mel.
I mean, I think it's difficult for outgoing players to talk about guys that are still going to be there because they're kind of looking this way. They're kind of looking in the windshield and talking about players that, particularly Malachi Tony, a player who's going to still be at the University of Miami. That's kind of looking in the rearview mirror. So I think he was very gracious in answering that question. And even talking about Carson Beck, I think he handled that question very well, too. Also, Carson Beck, I don't know, what the situation was regarding the Senior Bowl or whatever game that was that you guys were at. Most of the time you had to get an invite. I don't know if he was invited to that game or not. I don't know, or he decided that he didn't need it. But like he said, he's had a lot of football, a lot of big time football underneath his belt. He started 2 years at Georgia and then started 1 year at Miami. A lot of snaps underneath his belt. Guys pretty much know who he is. I mean, getting off the bus, he's what you look for. I mean, he's the ideal type of quarterback, 6'5". 230 some odd pounds. He's big, he's strong, he's sturdy. That's what you look for getting off the bus. He has all the measurables of a quarterback. It's just those 6 inches in between his ears. Can he master that part of the game? Because everything else looks fantastic. When he comes off the bus, he looks the part. So we'll have to see how it goes with his pro days and all that. Depending on where he ends up. He's going to get an opportunity because, again, he's exactly, when you drop quarterback, he's exactly what you look for. I mean, he's, in the mold of Payton and Eli. He's one of those big guys, sturdy guys, big arm, stands in the pocket and can deliver the ball. It's just a matter, some of his decision making. So we will see.
Tommy?
Yeah, well, I thought the most interesting answer was about Malachi Toney, where he said he could play in the NFL now. That obviously wouldn't be wise for him because he's still a young kid. He needs at least another year of college to mature. But it was saying what he was doing was commenting on his exceptional talent. So I thought that was interesting. And everything he said about Beck was just being diplomatic.
Okay. I like that. Candy?
I don't know. Like Mel said, you got to be invited to those games. Was he invited? Did he turn it down? Or did maybe the NFL decided we've seen enough of him, we don't care about it if he comes to the All-Star game? So I don't know.
I don't know. We'll find out what happens on April 23rd, whether he gets in the first round or not. I doubt it. Go ahead, Candy. Some quick takeaways to turn over to Eric. Then I got two more topics that Jen wants to be on. We're definitely going to get into those right away. Go ahead, Candy, really quickly.
I mean, what I would say is I really, obviously, I liked my Malachi Toney piece because Malachi Toney wasn't even 18 when he joined Miami. Mm-hmm. And for him to have such an influence over all of the guys at such a young age showed a lot of maturity, showed a lot of camaraderie. The way he fit in and how James praised him, I really liked that. That says a lot about Malachi and what his future has in front of him.
It's funny how these guys, they reclassify, but yet they're the right age. He turned 18 in September of last year. I wasn't 18 when I went to UCLA. I was only 17, but I didn't reclassify. And if I would have, waited another year, and then I would have been an old 18-year-old. But it's funny to me how these guys reclassify, but they're still the right age.
Yeah, well, it's amazing. After the Notre Dame game, when Mario Cristobal was asked about him, Mario Cristobal didn't even know he had a 17-year-old on the roster. So that goes to show you what Mario had to say. All right, Eric, you have the final word of this topic. We got to make sure we get Jen in on these next two, and she's going to lead off in both cases.
Well, I like the confidence there, though, but there's you can it's like the NFL is a way different animal than college. It's much faster, much quicker. These guys are much better, are better coached than they ever have in college, and it's like the confidence there, man. But the NFL is going to give you a wake up call.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, let's talk about Aaron Rodgers. When he began last 2025 season, he was at 2,004. He had 2,048 yards away from 65,000 passing yards. But now the question is, will he return playing under former coach Mike McCarthy? Candy, do you have an updated number about how much he passed the 65,000 mark?
Yep. He is at 66,274.
274. All right, Jen, thoughts about Aaron Rodgers? He's coming back to Pittsburgh.
One could hope not, because this one wants him to just go away. Because he has this ego where he just has to be fed all the time. Like, he has to be wanted and desired more than any narcissist I've ever encountered in my life, and I've met a couple. And I'm not trying to be rude. He's good. Hands down, he's good. But the years he's gotten MVP, he has made full court presses for that. Like, I mean, I don't know. I think he'll be back because he cannot get away from the adoration. But he has to get over his beef with Mike McCarthy.
Yeah.
And if his ego can do that, then he will be fine. Otherwise, if he can't, then he'll come back and he'll get injured.
Well, let's put it this way. If Mike Tomlin was coming back, he'd be a
He would be back.
Easily. Yeah. But Mike McCarthy,
he would be back.
You're right, Jen. Every adjective you use was dead on.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do, since you have a limited amount of time. I'm going to let you comment on the Thanksgiving ones, and then I'll let you roll. How's that?
Okay,
I'll
thank
take
you.
it around to
Sorry.
everybody else. Oh, no, I don't care. Hey, listen, you're 65, 70% of the show, and most of the important ones are already here with you, Jen. You're doing fantastic, especially on short
Hey,
notice.
I'm just along with the real talent with Candy and Mel and you.
Oh,
And
thank you.
Eric, you're coming up, and Tommy, damn, you got a voice, sir.
There you go. Hey, I'll tell you, Jen, this show has grown a lot since you first came on.
I just know these three better than you. Sorry, Eric and Tommy.
Okay.
Well, follow Eric. I'll tell you, if you ever get on Twitter, follow Eric on there. This kid's a whippersnapper. He's a great kid. And
Eric should follow me on Twitter, too.
Yeah, there you go. We'll get you in touch. But I'll tell you, when I brought this kid on under my wing. This kid's come a long way. He's the only one that calls me on Father's Day and on my birthday. I don't have any kids except this one.
Oh, that is baloney, sir. I text you, not on Father's Day because
I'm talking about kids. You're not a kid. You're a sister.
Okay.
That's big.
Mel, you live closest to him. Can you please go like Jackie Chan him for me? If Candy does it, then you know what? Like it's domestic violence and we don't need her in trouble.
Oh, you handle me well, Jen. Don't even go there. I know you do. Especially when I got up to Carolina, you handled me really good up there. Yeah, you handle me anywhere because you have that much respect anyways. All right, but I'm going to ask you, well, it is what it is. Some things are just a given. So there's no Thanksgiving college football playoff games this season. There
usually isn't.
Huh?
The Egg Bowl.
Thanksgiving is usually for NFL.
They had the Egg Bowl on there with Mississippi and Mississippi State. They slip one in there every once in a while at night. But you're right. But this is the first time they haven't had one since
everybody's asleep. They've had too much turkey. It's okay. They'll get more viewers the next day.
Okay, well, that's good. I'm giving you your chance to talk about it.
The Egg Bowl's typically Thanksgiving for college anyway.
Okay, the Egg Bowl used to.
But I will say, not Army Navy game has been saying that they're more than happy to move it to Thanksgiving Day, which would actually give NFL games a run for its money. And a little good comeuppance for taking over some Black Friday last year.
We'll see how Yeah, well, I don't see them doing. I don't see Army Navy doing that because they're getting I think on the date they have now they get great viewership. Where it's just a day
but I think they would still on Thanksgiving too.
They would, yeah. I mean, it's football. People are going to be mostly home anyway on Thanksgiving.
So, Jen, are you saying it's not a big deal that college football doesn't have a Thanksgiving game? Is what you're saying?
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay,
because they're packed that weekend on Friday and Saturday. Packed.
Okay.
And I mean, to me, NFL is Thanksgiving Day, Black Friday and Saturday are college. I got mad for college football last year because the NFL had no right. Amazon, Jeff Bezos was in the wrong. I'm just saying that. Why are you going to take away from college football? Jeff, come on, you got enough money.
Okay, Jen, you know what? Why don't you let everybody know they get a hold of you because you have a good thing going with Candy. Go on, let's put it out there, sweetheart.
Check out our YouTube page. It's the Chicks Podcast. You can also check us live on Tuesdays at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, where we're just chicks talking sports. And sometimes I'm a little saucy. Never, right, Candy? And you can check me out on Twitter at Jenna Cheryl, the professional fan. I need to do better at Blue Sky. But you can also find me on Instagram at Jenna Cheryl, the professional fan, and on Facebook at Jen Lewis. Or you can also reach out to us on our YouTube channel, on our Facebook page, 3 Chicks in a Pod. And we're always open to suggestions if you guys have any ideas of something you want us to talk about.
Well, Jen, you're my sister. Now the whole world knows it. My goodness. I couldn't.
Peace out, my doctor brother.
Huh?
I said, peace out, my doctor brother.
Oh, you know it, sweetheart. Anything. I can't wait to get up and see it, Charlotte. Oh, don't worry. I was telling Tommy this before. And you know what? When I go after Dave Doran, and I will go after this guy.
He is so not worth your time.
Oh, yes, he is. You're talking about a raging bull. I got tons of drinks named after me. I got, was it Red Bull? Monster? Oops, I shouldn't have hit that. I have a monster
God,
drink.
that man has provoked people so much. Like, no offense, so much bigger than us combined.
Halloween's gonna come early when I carve him like a pumpkin, and you and Tommy are gonna be there to see it. That's all I can say.
You're so not going under my umbrella, my friend.
You don't have to go under your umbrella. Just watch the show. That's all. This will be worse than Mike Tyson biting off Evander Holyfield's ear when I get done with Doran. I hate him. You don't have to. You and Tommy don't have to say you associate with me, but I'm ready to go after this, bottom not system and that's
Andy, I need you to take him on a cruise the weekend of ACC kickoff.
No, she's taking me on one in 2 weeks. But don't worry, Jen. You and Tommy can sit in the back while I take care of business. I'm going to live up to the Motor City Man about that week.
Now, listen to Jen. Listen to Jen.
I took care of him for myself, and it was awesome. And I did it in a very polite way, and I got an apology out of him. My way works better than going after him the way you want.
Oh, don't worry. I don't want an apology. I'm looking for a knockout like Mario Cristobal beat the hell out of him that day. I'll tell the Miami Hurricanes, Mario, I finished what you started. Violence, baby, violence. That's okay. Jen, you and Tommy will be there in the back while I go out there and carve that pumpkin known as Doran. Because he don't mess with me. He's going to have a
be downstairs eating lunch at that time. I'll take Tommy with me. So
no, you got to be there for me. I got news for you. He's going to have a whole page in my next book.
Actually, Tommy and Candy, I want to take you across the street to Johnny Burritos.
That's okay. I got news for you. Stay tuned. And Tommy and Jen and Candy there. Hey, Jen, I love you. I can't wait for you to see this. This is gonna be Muhammad Ali beating George Foreman.
You gotta stop giving that man free rent in your head.
Oh, I want to give him free rent. I want to give him rent that he'll never had before. That's what drives his motor.
Dude.
I don't need caffeine. And you know what? I'm going to call it Dave Doran Dew as in Mountain Dew when I get done. I'll have 2-liter drinks by the time I see this. You know what?
Want to tell us how you really feel, Scott?
He's been written negatively about in every professional, like college football magazine, website. Like, honestly.
He ain't
going to change them.
He's not getting away with it with me. He's never going to see nobody like me before. I guarantee it.
I'll try to send you a video in a few minutes if I actually have this video. I remember it. It's in my head. I don't know if I still have this.
Okay. Well, when I get
Dorian watching everybody getting prepared for Belichick's first press conference.
Oh God.
And all of the sheriffs coming and like standing outside the conference room. It was ridiculous. I was literally taking a video laughing. I was like, "Yo, this is ridiculous."
I'll make you laugh harder. By the time, if you have red lipstick, that red lipstick will be falling off of you after you've got done sweating after I get done with him.
Just let Bill Belichick and Bill's ego handle Dorian. It's fine.
Oh, I want him. Don't worry, Jen. I love you. Don't worry, sweetheart.
I love you too. I'll talk to you guys later.
Just be there when I get done.
Andy, I love you. Bye, guys.
Love you. Have a good one. Don't worry, Jen.
You too.
TBD, to be determined. Wait till I get done with him. All right. Anyways, I'm glad I set the stage for this one. So let's go back to the original thing. Aaron Rodgers, Mel, what are your thoughts about him? Is he going back to Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I really don't. I really don't care, to be honest with you. I mean, Aaron's not the same. Well, since Mike Tomlin's no longer in Pittsburgh, it really doesn't matter to me anymore, and I don't have a dog in the fight. And Aaron, regardless of whether he comes back or not, he's not the Aaron Rodgers of 5-7 years ago, and he's a different type of cat, So I don't get really caught up in what Aaron's doing. I could really care less what Aaron is doing, and I think Pittsburgh should care less what Aaron is doing and try to figure out a path forward from what are they going to do from here on out, because Aaron Rodgers is not the long-term solution to their problem at quarterback. They need to find a long-term solution to their problem at quarterback, and Aaron Rodgers is he's not that solution. He's not that answer.
Okay. Tommy?
Yeah, the Steelers are the last franchise I would expect to be involved in letting Aaron Rodgers play games with them. I'm sure if he does come back, he'll play fine. He's a great quarterback, but I wouldn't want anything to do with him in his games. I would move on from the thing that I'll always remember about Aaron Rodgers is when he got drafted. Brett Favre said he wasn't going to do anything to help bring him along, a young kid along.
Right.
And Rodgers didn't learn anything from that when they drafted Jordan Love. Jerome Love is the Notre Dame running back. Jordan Love, he didn't do anything to help Jordan Love. In fact, he complained about it. So, I mean, that's all you need to know about Aaron Rodgers.
Candy?
So I guess I probably have a different perspective than some of you, and obviously that's because he was the quarterback for the Packers for so long. He did sit behind Brett. He has come out and said that when he calls it quits, he's going to go hide out, basically. He's going to take his bride, and he's not going to have media appearances. He's not going to be around. So he's going to kind of ride off into the sunset. So do I think he's ready for that riding off into the sunset? No. I think he's going to play another year. Now, I don't know that for a fact, but my guess would be he will try it for a year under Mike McCarthy, that he's not done yet. And then after that, depending on the kind of year that they have, whether he would come back or not. But I think he'll be back. But that's just my guess.
Tarek?
I think ultimately he comes back. Although a reunion with Mike McCarthy is interesting because given how things ended in Green Bay with him, where McCarthy kind of lost his job like middle of the year, which I thought was stupid and disrespectful for a coach who won a Super Bowl and has had an uber amount of success there, where I thought he had the right to finish the year and then Green Bay can move on. But it's interesting, though, that he would consider coming back playing for a guy who he had weekly spats with during the 2018 season, to the point where the entire public was more focused on what would happen next between the two of them rather than the Green Bay Packers, what they were going to do that Sunday. But it certainly is interesting, though, that Rodgers would consider coming back to play for Mike McCarthy, who he wanted nothing to do with during the 2018 season. But ultimately, I think he'll come back. The guy's so starved for attention that he just can't get away from the lure of the NFL, as they call it. But I think he'll give it another go. Although the Steelers though got to start getting somebody waiting in the wings here, because right now, since Ben Roethlisberger's left, they've had nobody. They've been a QB. They've been a mess for a while.
Good point. All right, let's go back to the topic. No Thanksgiving college football games this season, and there have been college football games since 1977. It's a big deal, Mel.
I'm sorry, what was the question, Scott?
Yeah, well, let's go back to the no college Thanksgiving games in college.
I didn't realize that college football was played. I see there's a couple games, Memphis and Navy, and then they're talking about the Egg Bowl. That's always been a pro football day, and that pretty much takes up the vast majority of the day. You have a game at 12 o'clock. I think they moved it to 1 o'clock now. Then you have a 3:30 game. I think they moved it to 4 o'clock, and now we even got the night game. So that's always been a pro football day.
Right.
I think they had a Black Friday last year on Amazon, which has typically been a college day. That whole weekend has been for college football. I just think that's just too much football, and then and competing with the NFL. I mean, that's not a good decision. I mean, it's the best decision is not to air games on that day, and everything is tied into ESPN now. They're not going to. They're not trying to compete against themselves. So it just doesn't make any sense to play college football on Thanksgiving when that's traditionally been a day for the NFL. It's just not enough hours in the day.
Okay, Tommy.
Yeah, I'm sure TV has all to do with this. College football games were kind of hit and miss with Thanksgiving games.
Mm-hmm.
Texas and Texas A&M had played on Thanksgiving in the past, but it's not an annual tradition. Right. So I imagine it's a TV decision, and I didn't realize there were no college football games scheduled for this year. but that probably explains why
Right.
Arkansas and Michigan State are going to play basketball on Thanksgiving Day.
Oh, really?
Down
That's interesting. Okay.
Lions will play their usual game, and then after that, the Michigan State and Arkansas will which is likely a top 10 game, will play on Thanksgiving. So that's a big TV attraction in a different sport. So I think it's probably has more to do with TV than anything else. Because remember the NFL was always the Lions, and then the Cowboys were always added as a second game, and then now it's three Thanksgiving Day games.
I remember when I talk about Thanksgiving, because many years ago, the Kansas City Chiefs wanted to try to get the Lions off of Thanksgiving because they weren't any good. I talked to Jerry Jones, the owner of the Cowboys. No way it'll ever happen. I'll make sure of that. There you go. Of course, he had his game, and the Lions hosted it when nobody wanted it. And, of course, they ended up getting a night game, for sure. Candy?
Well, did you realize this? The University of Michigan made it a tradition to play annual Thanksgiving games, holding 19 games between 1885 to 1905. The Thanksgiving Day games between Michigan and the Chicago Maroons in the 1890s have been erroneously cited as the beginning of Thanksgiving Day football. Since the Maroons no longer play at the Division I level, the Wolverines now play their modern-day arch rivals, the Ohio State Buckeyes, during the Thanksgiving weekend. Yale and Princeton began an annual tradition of playing against each other on Thanksgiving Day, starting back in 1876. And there's a couple of other ones that played them way back in the day, obviously. So they started it before NFL even came on the scene, but obviously NFL is king, the ratings, and that's why they took over the day. So I understand why college football doesn't play on Thanksgiving Day and can play over the weekend. They're normally and typically on Saturdays. I mean, you always thought of high school football as Friday nights, college Saturday, and NFL then Thursday, Sunday, and Monday.
So if you didn't know Chicago Maroons, Candy Edling, make sure you did know about the Chicago Maroons. Okay, Eric, you have final word on this one.
I mean, at this point, we have football just about every day of the week, it feels like. Like, we have the NFL owns Thursday, Sunday, sometimes Saturday, and also Monday. College football seems to be on every day. Every day is not every day aside from Saturday. I think at this point, they're just oversaturating the television with football content. Even ESPN has primarily become an NFL and college football network, and that's part of the reason why they dropped the baseball contract, is because they become so focused on football. At this point, it wouldn't surprise me if ESPN buys NFL Network, but
they did.
Yeah, and it's at this point we're just oversaturated. Like, it used to be Mondays were the day, and then later on it was Thursday. I think at this point we've got too much football on the television. Heck, they're trying to make it work with another spring league for the umpteenth time.
Okay,
you can ask Donald Trump how the first one worked.
No comment on that one. All right, well, I'll tell you what. Let's talk about Stetson Bennett. He did not graduate with a degree from the University of Georgia, despite being in college from 2017 to 2023. He spent 6 years in college. Some thoughts, Tommy, about Stetson Bennett not graduating with a college degree?
That's disgraceful.
Yeah, I agree. Is that your?
That's all I would want to say. I want to give him any more credit.
Nobody says people have to come up with long comments. If you feel short and sweet, then that's okay with Stetson Bennett. Yeah, he should have graduated. Mel?
Yeah, that's tough. I know he went to junior college one year. Started off at Georgia, then left and went to junior college or something like that, and then came back to Georgia for 4 years. So he had 6 years in college and then he had his degree. That's tough. I mean, what were you doing?
Right.
Obviously we know what he was doing. I mean, he was going to school to play football. They were paying him to play football. They weren't paying him to go to class. But I mean, Stetson should have got something out of it. But from my understanding, he comes from a pretty well-to-do family. So, he'll be okay. They won't be doing any GoFundMe's for him. He'll be just fine.
Candy?
Yeah, that kind of surprised me. That, I mean, after leading the team, back-to-back national championships, he started college in 2017, and by 2023 he had exhausted his eligibility, but he had still not completed a degree. Just sad.
Eric?
I think it's the biggest problem with college football today is these kids, it's become since NIL has come in and become unregulated, these kids have just been going in there and paying like it's essentially the minor leagues of the NFL. It's sad to me. Stetson Bennett was at school for a long time. What exactly were you doing at school for a long, long time? So to me, it's one of the biggest fundamental problems with NIL today, and the NCAA just won't do anything about it.
Okay. Going on football topic, Super Bowl players by conference. And this was recently by conferences where you're getting a big value for them. Is the SEC and the Big Ten lead the way with 30 and 25 players in Super Bowl LX, while the ACC and the Big 12 combined for 21 players. ACC had 14, and the Big 12 had 7. Some thoughts, Tommy?
The SEC's done a good job of buying players over the years.
Yeah, right. That's true.
But now with NIL, they don't have as much money as the Big Ten. I think that's it. Sums it up right there.
Yeah, the Big Ten's cleaning up, and the SEC's paying the piper. They can't brag anymore now that things are starting to get a little bit of money where they follow the money trail. Mel?
Yeah, I mean, the SEC for the longest time was putting the most players in the league between Alabama and Georgia and maybe a couple other schools, Auburn, Florida. They were putting the most players in the league, so it's not surprising that they would have the most players playing in the Super Bowl, because that's where a lot of the representation was coming from. That's where all the money was pre NIL. But I think you'll see it start to spread out a little bit more. We see how the Big Ten has been dominating the championships as of late. They've won the national championship in football. They won the national championship in women's basketball. Shout out to the Lady Bruins. And then the Big Ten men won the national championship in men's basketball. So I think there's a shift in the tide now as far as with the SEC and the Big Ten right now. The Big Ten is starting to take over.
Yeah, like I said, when I saw the SEC, that gap is narrowing. With 30 and Big Ten to 25, that gap will even get more narrowed next year as well. Okay, Candy? Or wait, who haven't I called on yet?
Eric and me.
All right, go ahead, Candy.
So we talked a little bit about this on the Chick show earlier, is that the Big Ten, I don't believe, gets the same respect as some of these other conferences, but yet they're the ones that have had a lot of the national championships lately. Not only football, basketball, but there are some others too, and there are two out of the 4 remaining in the Frozen Four are Big Ten schools as well. And I just think they don't get the same respect. We think of like the Alabamas and the Georgias and other schools, but the Big Ten is no slouch. Don't take them lightly. They've up and coming, and they're proving that they're there to compete, and they want national championships.
Eric?
I mean, the Big Ten's always been great for football. I mean, obviously you don't have the big time quarterbacks historically like other colleges have had. Big Ten's all for the longest time was run the ball, play great defense, low scoring games, while the SEC, you kind of got a mixture of great defenses. You would get some good offenses, but mostly great defenses. But, the Big Ten has always been competitive. Certainly helps when you have schools like USC in there and UCLA and other historically great schools like that. But they've always been a competitive conference. And a lot of sports, like particular football, they've always been great because Wisconsin was a Rose Bowl team for a very long time. Basketball, the University of Illinois, and Michigan, and all those other schools, no, they've always been competitive. It's just the SEC gets the crap gets the kudos just because a lot of their players, they get some of the best in the country, and a lot of them do go the NFL. Although if we're being honest here, they were most likely paying them under the table. Come on, people, let's call it like it is. there's a reason that that the conference that SMU was a part of was broken up because that was like the wild west of violations. But it's just SEC just gets all the love just because they get some of the top athletes and they just happen to have much better recruiting ground than the Big Ten does.
Great stuff. Yeah, again, Big Ten is bridge the gap with them in the SEC. Of course, we know the ACC is getting their props, and Miami is going to contribute to those totals as well. So, and then of course, like I said, the Miami Hurricanes and the Big 12, they are what they are. Let's continue on. We talked about Gus Malzahn last week. He left college football, retired with a 105.62 mark, 13 seasons, heading Auburn, 2 national championships appearance. Let's talk about the legacy of Gus Malzahn.
Gus was an innovative coach, offensive minded guy. I think he started out where he started, Arkansas or something. Is that where he started out in Arkansas?
Arkansas State.
Was he a high school coach and then went to the office, was offensive coordinator for the University of Arkansas with some of those guys that they had over there, and then took a head coaching job at Arkansas State and was there for a minute, and then came over to Auburn or something of that nature, or was it Auburn and went back? Anyway, Gus was a very innovative college football coach. I think Cam Newton enjoyed some great success under him. Obviously, I think that's when he won the Heisman Trophy. I believe when Gus Malzahn was there, I believe that's when he was there as an offensive coordinator. Don't quote me on that. But very interesting character. Had a great run at it, and now he's going to be a part of the committee, I think it is, the college football selection committee, which I think is good because they need more football guys on the committee than administrators. So I think that'll be great. Bring a different perspective, a new perspective, a fresh perspective to that committee. So look forward to seeing what he'll do there.
Yeah, he'll join Jeff Tedford on the college football playoff committee as well. So it's pretty good to see him stay in the game a little bit, and a very well respected offensive mind. Tommy?
Yeah, he was a great coach for a long time, very innovative. I think the game probably caught up with him, and he didn't have much more to separate him from other coaches than his offensive mind. It's the rest of the game, the rest of building a program caught up with him, and he just may have lost his edge. Guys lose their edge when they get older. He's only 60, so in this day and age, that's not that old. So it is kind of surprising he's retiring already. But like I say, the game caught up with him.
Candy?
He started his coaching career back in 1991 at the high school level. His overall record in high school was 144, 36-1. That's a pretty impressive winning percentage. And then in college, it was 105 and 62. He's only 3-7 in bowl games, so he hasn't had the success in the bowl games, especially. But he is definitely an offensive-minded coach, and he did well. But starting back in 91 and being able to retire in 2025 when you're 60, kudos to him. I mean, let's all retire when we're younger. We still have our health, and we can go live and enjoy life and enjoy your family.
Eric?
I think, Gus Malzahn brought the spread offense into college football, which is obviously the premier offense in the game today. And, that's what he's best known for. He helped Auburn win a national championship with Cam Newton. He obviously, as a head coach, he took Auburn to a national championship where they lost to Florida State, which that team was equally loaded. But I think him evolutionizing college football with the spread offense is his biggest contribution to the game and making the game what it is now. Because back at one point, offenses were more balanced. Now they rely primarily on the pass game, and that's due in part to that spread offense, no huddle that Gus Malzahn brought in. Granted, at the end there, he was older, he lost his edge, he could no longer. To me, he could no longer, keep up, and also that college football was changing on him, and that also factored in. But I'd say his greatest contribution was making college football what it is today.
Yeah, no question about it. Great mind think alike, Eric. He's definitely an offensive mind. He's retiring, and he'll be an asset definitely for the college football playoff committee. And he's just coming out of the game as well. All right, let's two more topics to get to. The Kansas City Chiefs have hired former NFL running back and current Oklahoma running backs coach DeMarco Murray. Eric, what are your thoughts about the hiring of DeMarco Murray with the KC Chiefs?
DeMarco Murray has had success in the NFL before. He, he was running back for the Cowboys, the Eagles, where it didn't work out, as well as the Titans. He kind of rediscovered himself there. But what more guy can you get? I can't think of a guy more qualified to take over coaching running backs than DeMarco Murray. He's had success in the league before, and I think the Chiefs will learn he'll be a great asset to them.
Andy?
He's been coaching since 2019. He was the running back coach for Arizona. Then he went to Oklahoma from 20 to 25 as the running back coach. And now he's progressed to the Kansas City Chiefs. So obviously moving up the ranks from college into NFL. And what better place than Kansas City? They have up and coming. He also was a good runner. He had 7,174 career rushing yards in the NFL. And he only played 7 seasons, I believe, 2011 to 2017. So not bad stats for him. So let's see what he can do in the NFL.
Yeah, moving up the coaching ranks for a while. That reminds me of Eric Bieniemy, actually. I just hope that Eric Bieniemy at some point gets a head coaching job, but now DeMarco Murray's going to learn under Andy Reid. Mel?
Yeah, I think it's a good hire. I mean, DeMarco was a great running back in the league. He led the league in rushing one year. Jerry didn't want to pay him, and he ended up going to Philadelphia, and things just kind of, never were the same once that happened. But he was a great college running back, great NFL running back. He's paid his dues. He's been coaching. This isn't like something that's just been given to him, like he's just walking off the street and becoming a coach, a position coach. He's been coaching. I think he's been coaching at the University of Oklahoma, so he's going to get an opportunity to coach in the big leagues in the NFL. I think it's great for him, and look forward to seeing what he's going to be able to do in his coaching career.
Tommy?
Well, he's coached at Oklahoma for a couple of coaches, so getting retained is always a significant validation of your coaching. I don't know what kind of coach he is, but that says a lot about it. And then, of course, if Andy Reid's has confidence to hire you as a coach, you don't need a better endorsement than that.
Right. Okay, final topic of the night, and that is this. And we're going to go to the different coaches to win titles at North Dakota State University. And then after I get done listing these guys, we're going to go to a Cole Payton interview, a quarterback whose name you're going to be hearing. That list includes Craig Bohl, Chris Kleiman, Matt Aints, and Tim Polazak. Eric, what are your thoughts about some of the coaches that have had success over at North Dakota State?
It comes to show you that there's a successful system in place where if they just follow the formula, they'll win. I mean, the University of Miami had one at one point when they went from Howard Schnellenberger to Jimmy Johnson to Dennis Erickson, and then eventually to Bush Davis, which then Larry Coker took over that because that was really Bush Davis's team, and became one of the greatest college football teams of all time in 2001. But there are plenty of schools with that example who've won with multiple coaches. I know, in basketball, the University of Kentucky has been was like that for a while, where there were multiple different head coaches, yet they still won national championships. So clearly a formula is in place for them to win. But, all they have to do is stick to the formula, maybe, add some spins on it here and there, and be able to move it forward. Wisconsin was like that. Although they never won a national championship, you could still count on, up until recent years, you could still count on them playing in a January bowl game every single year. And this was post Barry Alvarez, when they went from Barry Alvarez to Brett Bielema to Gary Anderson to Paul Chryst. There was that system in place that allowed them to be competitive every single year. And clearly North Dakota State has one that's so dominant, and I'd probably say University of Wisconsin Whitewater has the same system as well, or did for a long time. That if you just follow that formula and keep the main components in place, you will win. North Carolina and North Dakota State has clearly perfected that.
All right, Candy. Great stuff, Eric. I'm impressed with your first act tonight of football. Tommy, what do you think of Eric when it comes to his football knowledge? If you see him on baseball, he's a great first act of this kid. What do you think, Tommy?
Yeah, he's doing a great job.
Yeah, really
I'll add on to what he said. Nowadays in college sports, they talk about alignment. The president, the athletic director, and the coach all have to be on the same page. That's basically what he's talking about. And that's the buzzword alignment. And I don't know how many presidents they've been through, how many ADs they've been through, but there's some kind of consistency, common thread running through that whole university.
Yeah, it really is. So alignment's the key, Tommy. Anything you want to add to it? I don't like that word, especially for this topic. Or are you good?
Good.
You talking about Tom?
Okay, go ahead, Candy.
So the program has had 32 head coaches since it began play back in 1894. Since December 2023, Tim Polis has served as head coach. They've been 11 coaches have taken North Dakota State to the postseason. The Bison have won 23 combined conference championships. It lists a bunch of different the coaches that have done it. Finnegan is the leader in seasons coached with 13, and Bowl is the leader games won with 104 victories. So, but obviously to only have 32 in 130 years, that speaks pretty highly of the.
Okay, Candy, well, I'll go to Mel, then you get ready to talk about Cole Payton. Mel's got because there's a guy that's benefited from the coaching. Go ahead, Mel.
Well, no, I mean, obviously North Dakota State does a good job of identifying candidates as well. And they have some sort of succession plan in place. I don't know if all these guys were hired from within or if they actually went outside and hired some of these gentlemen. But obviously, they have a program in place that enables their guys to be successful, similar to what the Pittsburgh Steelers were doing. They have a similar philosophy. They identify the right type of candidate. They bring them in, embrace them with their culture, surround them with a good supporting staff, and their coaches have great opportunities to be successful. And obviously, that's what they're doing there at North Dakota State as well.
Okay, great stuff. All right, Katie. Well, back in Mobile, Senior Bowl. Let's talk about Cole Payton. He's going to be one of the prospects that you're going to be hearing over during draft weekend coming up in a couple of weeks. Go ahead, and we'll have another Cole Payton interview that I did on my own, or the following week on next week's edition of Inside the Fiction. But go ahead, Ken. Talk about the history of the Senior Bowl itself. They have a rich history of producing a lot of good players that go on to do things. How do you feel now that you play in the game and now you're part of that history going forward as this game continues to grow and attract some of the best collegiate players that go to the NFL?
Yeah, like I keep saying, it's an honor. It was a blast to come out here and this is what you dream of. This is what you dream of, especially being a small school kid, just trying to represent NDSU and continue that lineage of NDSU guys to come out here and play well and represent NDSU the right way and go into the National Football League.
So there you have it. Cole Payton enjoyed his Senior Bowl experience. He looked pretty good as well. Next week on Inside the Pigskin, I have an interview on my own with him. We'll get into more details. But Eric, what are your early impressions of Cole Payton?
Well spoken. I'm hoping the best for him.
Candy?
Yeah, I mean, I got to listen to both of your interviews and as well as other people interviewing him after the game. One of them talked about how cold it was because this was a very cold Senior Bowl. But he's like, I'm from North Dakota State. I play a lot of games in the cold. Although he talked about that they have a dome, but when they go to like Montana and some of these other schools, so he's kind of used to it.
Yeah, cold weather did do me any favors. It took me a couple weeks to recover from that, even with some of the clothing I bought on the way up there, Tommy. What are your thoughts about Cole Payton? You're going to get him a little bit more. You and Mel will definitely get him more next week when I had the one-on-one interview. But some early impressions of Cole Payton. After we get done with this segment, the Shanahan report follows. Go ahead, Tommy.
He, he comes from a quality program, so I'm sure he's learned a lot of football. He's a big kid, so he won't be the first guy from North Dakota State to make it to the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about Trey Lance earlier, but this kid looks like he's pretty polished compared to other ones that have come out recently. And of course, I believe Carson Wentz came from there too, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
That's what I thought. Okay, Mel, you have the final word on it.
I don't know a whole bunch about this kid, but he represented himself well. He didn't do anything to turn any teams off. You know, playing in those senior games, those senior bowl games, is an honor. To play in those games, get invited and playing those games has kind of changed a little bit from probably when I played in them back in the late '80s. It was more of a fun type of atmosphere. Yeah, there were scouts out there and so forth, but it wasn't all business. You know, we were there to have fun. The Senior Bowl might have been a little bit different, but the East-West Shrine game, the Hula Bowl, games like that, they were just more, just games to go out there and have fun. And hopefully he got an opportunity to have fun. It's an opportunity to, for some guys to continue on and have one more college game who, guys may or may not have a college career, or excuse me, a career in the NFL. It's an opportunity to have one more college game before you graduate and go off to the NFL. But again, he didn't do anything to hurt himself. I don't think any NFL team scratched him off of his list based on that answer. He's very humble, and I think he's very appreciative of the opportunity, and he's looking forward to getting an opportunity in the NFL where he can continue his football career.
We'll get to know a little bit more next week when my interview goes on. All right, we're going to the Shanahan report, Mr. Shanahan. And I realize that you have your Michigan State on. I have my Michigan hat on. Sorry, my friend. But now the Spartans and the Wolverines are tied for national championships in men's basketball. That's okay. You can't tell me, Tommy, where you root for Michigan to beat at least Connecticut, even though you don't like the Wolverines. Really?
I never root for Michigan. I never root for Michigan. I've even rooted for Alabama against Michigan, and I never root for Alabama.
Oh, wow. All right. So, I hear Joshua Doerr's back in good terms. I'll reach out to him. We'll see if he makes his way in here. The night that he should be in here is on hockey because we have a juggernaut going there. But good to see you, D, in the chat room. So, all right, Tommy, you and I are pals, and the Shanahan report is now.
TomShanahan.report is my website. I have a story, and I sent it to you, Kenny and Scott, to post on South Florida Tribune about Jeff Seaman, who was a great linebacker for the Minnesota Vikings. He was always mentioned in the obituaries, but he was also a great linebacker at Stanford. Played with Jim Plunkett, and that was when Stanford was making the transition to recruiting more black players. And the black players on that team, Hillary Shockley was the big fullback on that team, and he said that Jeff Seaman had a lot to do with the black players being accepted and not resented for taking jobs away from white players, which is what happened in that same time period at USC.
Okay. Well, Tommy's Mr. College Football around here.
TomShanahan.report. And then my Twitter is Shanny4055.
Tommy's Mr. College Football here. He's also one of my best friends in the industry. Had an opportunity to meet him in North Carolina. Got his book. He's going to get mine when I see him. And you know what, D? That's good. Happy Masters Week to the golf fans. Now that the Final Four is over with, Masters is coming up. Pretty interesting segue. Good job, D. Okay, Mel, go ahead. Talk about your nonprofit or whatever else you want to do. Great stuff, D.
Yeah, you can follow me on all social media at Mel Farr Jr. Follow what we have going on here in Georgia and also in Michigan for the youth at melfarsuperstarfoundation.org.
Okay, Eric.
You can follow me on my X account at Sports News and check out my my work I built at SouthFloridaTribune.com, where I'm writing about all things baseball.
Great stuff, Eric. Great first act tonight. Looking forward to seeing you make your debut on the Sports Exchange. Tommy says you did a great job. I'm taking this guy's word. You two need to get to know each other because you think I got experience. This guy's in a league of his own.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, Tommy really is in a league of his own. All right, Candy, take us the rest of the way.
South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is written by our host, Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morganroth. Talks about his 40-plus years in the media business and how it has evolved and changed. Go get your copy today. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. The audiobook is also out there as well. There's a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where there is a plethora of great content, so go check it out. If you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. If you want to advertise, sponsor a show, be a guest on a show, or have topic ideas you'd like us to cover, you can always email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. Last, but certainly not least, if you see that red subscribe button in that lower right-hand corner, that means you have not yet subscribed to our channel. What are you waiting for? I mean, we have some of the best programming out there. You gotta subscribe and then turn on your notifications so you're notified every time we go live. Monday nights is baseball night. Tuesday nights is football. Wednesday nights, Scott's got a humdinger of a lineup, so definitely you got to check it out. Motor City Madmouth, followed by the Sports Exchange, where you never know what we're going to be talking about. And then Thursday nights on Sports Rep, it's either hockey or soccer, depending on the week. And then on Fire Up, Scott affectionately calls it My Country Club. Come on over to the Country Club and watch us Thursday nights at 9:30. Back to you, Scott.
All right, great job by the group tonight. Jennifer was fantastic. Eric, great first act. He's going to be seeing him around our network a little bit now. He's working with us full time as it stands at the moment. So, Eric can work anywhere he wants. I'm just glad he's on my team. Finally, not only writing, but also doing multiple shows. You're going to see Eric, obviously, on 108 Stitches Baseball Talk, but now he made his debut on Inside the Pitch tomorrow night. Sports Exchange, I expect big things out of him. So, and Candy, as usual, you're steady. Tommy, you're the best, man. What else I have to say? And Mel's been with me forever, too. Great people here on the network. So on behalf of my incredible crew and the people in the chat room, we appreciate your contributions as well. My name is Scott Morganroth, Motor City Madmouth. Thank you for joining us on this edition of Inside the Pitch. Tomorrow night, the Motor City Madmouth show with myself and Steve Ballesteri, followed by the Sports Exchange. Eric is going to be making a debut, and there'll be a big announcement on with Eric tomorrow night that I hope everybody can listen out to as well. And I'll note that information tomorrow night on the show. So meanwhile, take care, everybody. Have a good night, and we'll see you next Tuesday night on Inside the Pitch. Good night, everybody, and great job, all. Be safe. God bless.